Hello guys, my name is Bryan.
And I am Randy.
In this video, we're going to discuss about certain aspects of translation. We're going to analyze a podcast called Serious, in which the host talks to us about one very serious questions that was seriously misunderstood.
And in the overview, we will be talking about, we'll be analyzing the podcast Sirius. And in our PowerPoint, we will answer three guiding questions, which are what issues arise from translation, how does translation affect meaning, and what is lost and gained in translation. And also, we'll be adding other words that are lost in translation. And finally, we will sum up everything we talked about in our conclusion.
So the first thing we're getting into is an analysis of the podcast. The main idea of the podcast is when you hear the word serious in Ethiopia, it doesn't actually mean like the actual definition in English. It means something like solemn. It doesn't mean the normal definition that is solemn, thoughtful, or stern. It almost has nothing to do with your mood. And when people from Ethiopia, when they say, "Are you just talking to me or are you serious?" What they actually are trying to express is like, "Are you doing something?" The doing and "are you doing something" normally means some kind of transaction, and it's normally something related to like something financial. So what happened in the podcast is that an Ethiopian journalist, he asks a U.S. Secretary of State, who is John Kerry. During the conference, he said, "Is this lip service, or are you seriously concerned?" He was regarding a sensitive topic in Ethiopia when he said this. It's something like it had something to do with freedom of speech, and John Kerry actually misunderstood the meaning of serious. He said, "When I stand up in public and I say something, I try to be serious about it, and I think the fact that I'm doing that is serious." So this actually, we can tell from how he's saying it. He doesn't know, and people in Ethiopia, they actually say serious to mean something else.
And John Kerry felt insulted by this question by the Ethiopian journalist because what was going on at the time was that the Ethiopian journalists were getting arrested for no freedom of speech. And when this happens, the Americans make a statement, and the Ethiopian journalist that asked the question had no intent to insult the Secretary of State, but John Kerry did not know at the time the different meanings of serious. And to answer the guiding question, what issues arise from this translation, we see that in different cultures, there may be some words that are spelled exactly the same, pronounced the same way, but overall have different underlying meanings. So the word serious in this podcast was a perfect example because what it means in Ethiopia does not mean what it means in English. And what it means in English is when you speak sincerely and you are acting upon something and taking action to do something, whereas in Ethiopia, it means like, are you making a financial transaction or something, maybe like cutting off ties with Ethiopian government for arresting innocent people. And they were getting arrested because in Ethiopia they believe journalism is an act of terrorism. And in slide 5, how does translation affect meaning? The translation affects meaning of certain words because there is no universal language in the world, and what universal language is a language that everyone understands and that translates over from one language to another exactly the same. In different languages, they use the same words and have different meanings, which, when translating, which can be very dangerous due to the loss of meaning in translation. For example, what happened with John Kerry and the Ethiopian journalist, because the journalist started receiving threats by the government saying that you should watch the way you speak because they did not know that there was different meanings in Ethiopia of serious and English, the English version of serious. And the tone of the speaker may also be lost in translation, which can cause confusion between two speakers of the different languages.
Okay, so the next thing we're getting into is what is lost and gained in translation. So the first thing is the underlying meaning or intention of a word, and that is spelt, and the word that may be spelt in the same way in the language can mean completely different things, which will cause confusion and may be dangerous depending on how bad the meaning in the different language is. And the attitude or tone can also be lost or gained, because if a word has a different meaning, people will take words the wrong way, and that can actually cause problems, such as when the such as the Ethiopian journalist, and also the meaning can also like get lost or gained in the sense that it's like kind of different in different languages sometimes. And the meaning, actually, the next thing is emotion. And emotion is the next thing because the meaning affects the emotion. In this case, the Ethiopian had a different emotion towards the secretary compared to the secretary's emotion, because as we talked about earlier, the secretary got insulted by the Ethiopian journalist due to the different meaning of the word. Serious, they perceived different meanings of serious, which changed the emotion they had toward each other. And the Ethiopian actually, he didn't intend it to be offensive at all, but the secretary thought it was, because apparently the meaning is a lot different in Ethiopian.
And also to add to what is lost and gained, there is a sense of respect lost to the secretary in this case because of the words being different, which is unintentionally happening around the world, which is why we should all be aware of the different meanings that our words have in English compared to other languages. And now in our slide 7, other words lost in translation, which can have the same effect throughout our daily lives that happen with the journalist and the secretary. So, for example, the word gift in English, as we know, means like a present or something you give to someone in, like, say, Christmas, birthday party, or a birthday present. And what that means in Germany is poison. So this could confuse people by saying in Germany, or in English you say, I have a gift for you, but in German they think it's poison, and or in Norwegian as well it means poison. And also it gets confused with married in Swedish. So there is all these different translations for one word, but they're all from different languages. And we see angel in English, which means like a heavenly figure with wings, but this means fishing rod in German and sting in Dutch. There's really no harm in this, besides, unless you're calling someone an angel, they will probably think you're calling them a fishing rod, which I guess somebody could take offensively, or a sting, like a bee sting. And then moron in Welsh means carrots in English, and this could also cause problems between people, because someone could be talking about carrots to you in Welsh, and you think they could be calling you a moron, or calling something a moron, and you be thinking that they're calling you a moron, which is an insult in English language, but for Welsh it is not an insult. And also one in English, which we know is like you win a basketball game or something, you celebrate to it, so it has a positive meaning. And also in Polish it has a positive meaning, which is nice smelling, so someone may smell good. But then in German it means stinks. So you could be talking to someone and these translations can be mixed up, causing confusion, and maybe people will be insulted by it, just as the secretary was. And finally, the word slim. It sounds like the English word slim, and it means smart in Netherlands, but it means unsuccessful in Germany. So this is like a three-way difference. So slim sounds like the English word slim. So you could be saying you are very slim to someone that is from Germany, and they will be thinking you'll be calling them unsuccessful, which will cause confusion, and they will take offense to it. And then finally, the English word slut, which, as we know, is a derogatory term to bring down women. And this word is usually used it's used in Sweden when there's the end of something. So if a train is ending, like a train stop is about to end, it will say that word. Or if someone's talking to you and says the word slut in Swedish, you will take offense to it because you will think it means the English version, but really it just means end and has no actual offense. And if we look at the picture, there is this picture which basically is an analogy of what is happening throughout these words. These images look identical, but when you actually look closer to them, they have different color, different contrast and everything, which people might interpret and have a different meaning, what the picture means to them.
So now I'm going to go into our conclusion. So we're going to do our conclusion based on the questions. So for the first question, what issues arise from translation? Our conclusion is that different cultures, they have words that are spelled the same, but they have different meanings. And for the second question, which is how does translation affect meaning? Our conclusion is there are different ways of understanding the meaning of words in different cultures. And for the third question, what is lost and gained in translation? We have the conclusion of connotations, tone, meaning, and emotions.
This was our presentation on the podcast series. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.